Hey guys, welcome back, and as promised, I'm going to tell you my top 10 favorite PlayStation 3 games. I did already my top 10 favorite PlayStation 4 games and top 5 favorite Super Nintendo games, and as promised, now time for top 10 favorite PlayStation 3 games. Like, PlayStation 3 wasn't one of the best consoles ever, so with the exception of my top 2 here, most of those games don't even come close to the quality games that PlayStation 4 and Super Nintendo had. Like, yeah, I love all those games here, but I wouldn't quite say that they're as amazing as the video games on the PlayStation 4 or Super Nintendo list. Still amazing games, just not as great. With the exception of my top 2, maybe top 3, yeah, I say the top 3 here are pretty amazing in fact, but vast majority of the games on the list I say are amazing, but not as amazing as the PlayStation 4 or the Super Nintendo games, let's just put it that way. So, let's get to it! Coming number 10 is Devil May Cry 4. Yeah, the Devil May Cry franchise is a pretty fun franchise, like 1 and 3 on the PS2 were pretty great, and the recent 5th one on the PS4 was probably the best in the series. But my second favorite has always surprisingly never been the fan favorite Devil May Cry 3, but the Devil May Cry 4 on the PS3. Yeah, it's a really fun game full of demon slaying. You play as this guy Nero and later as the main character Dante, and you fight all the demons, and the main villain is Sanctus. He's pretty intimidating villain. The story in this game is pretty good. Yeah, Devil May Cry 4, great game and the most underrated Devil May Cry game. Number 9, Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, I was never a huge fan of the Grand Theft Auto games, like the GTA series never really appealed to me, but Red Dead Redemption was actually a pretty great game. I say the second game was even better actually, but the first was pretty great too. It's basically GTA in the Wild West, and yeah, it was basically the first Western game I ever played, and probably one of the few that exist. You play as John Marston and you hunt down your old gang. It's a really good story and pretty fun gameplay. Sometimes you use your lasso on the enemies and you tie them up. It's sort of lots of fun. And as I already said, the story is pretty great too, and the ending was really shocking. So yeah, Red Dead Redemption at number 9. As I said, the second I think is even better in the series, but the first was also great. Number 8, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. Yeah, I really liked the old Lego games. I really liked Lego Indiana Jones, and Lego Pirates of the Caribbean was pretty fun too. But the Lego Star Wars games were always my favorite. Yeah, they were really like basically everything that made the old Lego games great. They were really funny, very creative, and it was also about a lot of collecting items, and I loved just how they recreated both Star Wars trilogies, the original and the prequel, through Legos. It was all really funny. I'm in the minority, but I much prefer Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga over a new Skywalker Saga. Like, the new Skywalker Saga I felt like is very much quantity over quality. It's mostly about the open world. But personally, I much preferred the limited scope of the old Lego games. And also I like how there was no dialogue. It gave those games a unique identity. So, I'm in the minority, but I much prefer Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. So yeah, no problem if you love the Skywalker Saga. There is a lot to love in that, but for me personally, I prefer Lego Star Wars. I prefer the old Lego Star Wars games. For me personally, sometimes more freedom and bigger open world doesn't equal quality to me. Yeah. So Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga at number 8. And at number 7, Bulletstorm. Yeah, first-person shooters have always been a mixed bag for me. They're not like my go-to play video games, but there are some really amazing ones like Doom and Doom Eternal or some of the Call of Duty games. And Bulletstorm is a perfect example of a really amazing first-person shooter. Like, you fight enemies and you can also kill them in many creative ways, for which you get rewarded. It's called a skill shot. You can shoot them, but you can also kick them onto various traps like fire or spikes. It's all so much fun. And the story is simple yet pretty good and engaging a lot. This game truly deserves a sequel. It's one of those games that really deserves a sequel. It's a shame it never got one, but it truly deserved one, and I really wish it maybe someday we will get a sequel to this amazing first-person shooter. Number 6. Dragon Age Origins. Yeah, I love RPGs. They are one of my favorite genres of video games, and Dragon Age Origins is my favorite game, is my favorite RPG on a PS3. Yeah, I guess Skyrim is better, but thing is, I prefer to play Skyrim on the PC. I never played it on the PS3 actually. I always played it on my PC, which is why it's not on this list. Otherwise it would probably be in the top 3 spots. But yeah, since I prefer to play Skyrim on the PC, it's not on this list. But returning to Dragon Age Origins, it's a great game. You can play as either a human, an elf, or a dwarf. And you can also choose whether you want to be a noble, a peasant. And it all has big influences on the story. And what's also really fun is that depending on the various choices you make, you can really totally change the outcome of the game or the ending. Yeah, it's all really cool. And the boss battles are pretty great too, yeah. The sequels to Dragon Age were not as good as the first one. First one is the best of the Dragon Age games. And number 6 on the best PS3 games list. Number 5. Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I'm a huge fan of the Castlevania franchise. I love the games, the Netflix series, and I also love this reboot a lot too. The sequel had some really great ideas, but it didn't execute them very well. But this game was really fantastic. I love playing as Gabriel Belmont and go on a journey with him, slay monsters. Yeah, it's all really awesome. The ending is really tragic, but I won't spoil it here. Still, great game, fantastic reboot to the Castlevania franchise, and I think it's a perfect entry game to the newcomers to the Castlevania franchise. Okay, and now the following 4 games are all parts of 2 franchises on this list. So yeah, the following 4 games on this list are part of these 2 franchises now. But oh well, they happen to be my favorite PS3 games. Coming in at number 4 is God of War Ascension. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the God of War franchise. This is a prequel to the entire franchise, the very first game in the series, well, chronologically at least. And it nicely expands on the Kratos' origins and shows us the more complex Kratos than ever before. I mean, he became even more complex in the 2018 game, but still, before it, he was the most complex here. And I love his story of defeating the Furies. It's probably actually the least good God of War game, but even the worst God of War game is still better than most of the games out there. So yeah, which is why God of War Ascension comes at number 4. And at number 3, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Yeah, I love the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's such an amazing franchise. I love history. I love how it takes place during various historical periods and sets them around the Assassin-Templar conflict. And Black Flag is one of the best in the series. It could also be considered just a pirate game, but the conflict between Assassins and Templars is somehow interjected very well into the game. You play as Edward Kenway, one of the best Assassin's Creed protagonists. At first as a regular pirate where you can recruit a crew, fight the enemy ships, and do various missions. But later, and slowly, he becomes integrated in the Assassin Order, and it's all very amazing. Also, hunting on the oceans is pretty awesome, as well as I said, fighting enemy ships. And the story of Edward Kenway is pretty great too, and it's even better if you combine it with Assassin's Creed Rogue and Assassin's Creed 3. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Black Flag at number 3. One of the best Assassin's Creed games and one of the best games on the PS3. And at number 2, we have another Assassin's Creed game, and that's Assassin's Creed 2. Yeah, Black Flag was a very amazing game, but I still say Assassin's Creed 2 and Unity are tied for my favorite Assassin's Creed game ever. Like, Ezio Auditore is still likely the best Assassin's Creed protagonist. Like, Cassandra from Odyssey also comes close, but I still say Ezio is the best. And also the setting of Renaissance Italy is just amazing. I love how the city of Florence, as well as cities of Venice or Rome, are nicely recreated in this game. And the Templars are actually far more unlikable here, which makes it much more satisfying to be assassinating them all. And the story of Ezio is still likely the best story in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. It's such a good story, and plus it had 2 amazing expansions in the form of Brotherhood and Revelations. It's not often where you get to play throughout the entire life of a protagonist. So yeah, Assassin's Creed 2, one of the best games on the PS3 and one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever. As I said, tied with Unity, it's my favorite Assassin's Creed game. But my favorite PlayStation 3 game of all time is God of War 3. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the God of War franchise. Together with The Witcher, it might be my favorite video game franchise ever. Before 2018 God of War 3 was my favorite God of War, and it still holds up so well today. Like, Kratos finally gets his revenge on the Greek gods. Like, the second game ended on a cliffhanger, and God of War 3 delivered everything. Like, I actually played God of War 3 first, but I can only imagine what was it like for the people who played God of War 2 first and to wait for this cliffhanger of God of War 2 to be resolved. The game delivered everything and so much more. Playing as Kratos is so much fun, and then slaughtering the gods and the Greek mythology monsters. And the game probably had some of the best boss battles in the history of the franchise, with my favorites being Hades, Hercules, and the final boss Zeus. Yeah, God of War 3, the best game on the PS3, one of the greatest games ever, and probably second best God of War after God of War 2018. Okay folks, here you have my top 10 favorite PS3 games. I will also say what I said already while talking about them. Keep in mind, Skyrim would deserve to be there, but thing is, as I already said, I never played it on the PS3. I always much preferred to play it on the PC, which is why it's not on this list. But if it was, it would perhaps be maybe in the top 3. Still, please tell me what are your favorite PS3 games. Let me know in the comments below, press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you soon, bye!